Eti miracle Aboagye. Only Kojo Oppong Nkrumah. Any other journalist have a clash with some just far as Cybercrime Amendment Bill no. Your concern. Mema onchiri mu no akere wadwen ama me. Ewo comment section. Aha yi Penyah block media. Me so say need him. Obe like video no under my subscribe button. Na be click notification icon of latest update. Aba kere wadwen da ma me. Ewo comment section. Me so ba so no akere for so anya bi ahwe. It we go nya the sound of your trend. Ni na fa the Cybercrime Amendment Bill no person or the ban. Ebe criminalize, hate speech. Any ade and I be was all criticize wo gidi goodness wo ani anye ho a or to me say ebe chill. And I even so no be chat or WhatsApp DM yeah vibe o chale amemo de nko o samjo de sebe na adwen wo form ni ade o kan bi sa akra o call ewo unu obi personal chat ya they will track every personal chat and they will read through ade ba be your DM a enyo mo fe no they can carry you on. Just say they want to instigate culture of silence, move pro mass. This is very serious. Now I know miracles Aboagye, Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, any other journalists, I catch some George says, I had no person the ban, unyai, na emo my Ghana.
Me, to be very honest, I think Sandra 3 days ago, I was telling somebody, say me, I'm very sure, say, Beono, a technocrat and I walk cybersecurity authority.
And as a sponsoring ministry,
ministry no crowd. And normally these things, consultants they draft you.
Sure.
It sounds very technical, very very technical, and I'm very very sure. Say, Honorable Sam George will not approve such a bill in its current form. Wholesale, sir, I doubt it. The president won't assent to this bill in its form. Honorable Kojo Oppong will not support a bill in this form. Obi, adia bakwa hupa affect in the modern day technology abaye de adwuma. And that technology comes with its own threats. Inti every year, every day, you find solutions to minimizing the threats and making sure that the opportunities and advantages a woman yebenya. But the last thing anybody would do, whether we are buying more opposition, and say, Ubeshishe mra ebeka nipa kasabwa ashenimu. Ana se ubeshishe mra una ubechire nipa dia otumika ni di ontumika. Eno die a problem. Untumi yesa. Enunti ena there are other third party laws. Even if I misinform or peddle falsehood about war, there are already laws to deal with it. So we don't need a new law in dealing with that. What we need rather is to do a lot more sensitization, a lot more advocacy for people to understand the ethics of the space. Me several Cybersecurity Act now. I realize that in as much as they are under the guise of cybersecurity, amendment is not looking at cybersecurity. It's looking at social media. It means say confusing cybersecurity with social media because amendment na ebano obi papa.
That is if it is allowed to pass.
Yes,
in this form.
Yes, and that's why I think say won't because knowing Honorable Sam George na sa amendment we ban ne minua jifagu no ya kukumo adwuma no me obi adwuma yo nyina na etumbe bi nyina na edi nkomo ye bonkuro. No be na social media. No, if you begin to direct or control how I click and when I click, then it's no longer social media. Into media, me are very confident say there will be a lot of amendments and a lot of revision to this way. First of all, cybersecurity now. What she say now or the fight. Obi, enye social media and something comedy you know. A bigger thing, a firewall. So I just say. Dealing with malware near there and on technology based. Meaning the idea the name cybersecurity as omode kata near so almost police force in our cybersecurity authority.
They are giving officers of the authority the powers of the police.
Yeah, but that is what it is.
Now also police.
But that's what it is. Oma will be powers of the police are all police force.
No. The form now can, but the substance is what the law focuses on.
Police for you, my police for you,
the powers
police for you,
my
police for you, my
Oh, sir, it's contained in the bill.
So what term powers of the police? Emamia, what the police force, Amami? That is what it is. What they omo powers na mame. It's what the police force are me. Obi, you see, we need to take our time. Hear me, be a because I am a takas and be say chief director be. Now it's a so yeah reforms be. What they be a meka? One year no go safe in the area no. Emra we some pass here men kasa. Me try me yeah me come me say they should carry on. You all dance to the tune. You bed dance to the tune if they pass it in its form. Obi here somewhere in the act, I almost say in the bill drafted almost say the director general, deputy director general, and other authorized officers shall exercise the powers of a police officer, including the power of arrest, search, and seizure. They will also have the same rights, protections, and immunities conferred on a police officer under the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act. Section 59B will say the authority shall conduct criminal investigations and prosecutions upon the occurrence of the cybersecurity incident or cybercrime. The authority shall have jurisdiction to prosecute all offenses under the electronic. You see, let me view and say we should by all means have laws to deal with cybercrimes. But for Christ's sake, we have the police force. Your criminal investigation department. When you say CID, Oko headquarters are or more cybercrime units.
Yes.
Now be them be naka. It is high power now with JF police for her. They are bre honorable Edwasari, be director general for cyber security act. I don't know how my police 1 year say you because they already have a cybercrime unit. It is to be committed cyber offense. The cybercrime unit of the police for that should handle. Obi, why are we doing this? And then Yoko powers to arrest. Inti Yoko for ankasa to me koya arrest. Inti police for police headquarters. On meti ane say Yoko akwa arrest you be. Omo wo mo sell. Omo kipi nipa. National security for ewo omo sell. Omo akoro makochi obi omo de mo aba. OSP ewo omo sell. Omo akoro makochi obi no mo de naba. Ghana police why? Obi America crowd they don't have this. NSA National Security Authority no more omo oversight over cyber de nyina no. So omo koye arrest or for be our committee cyber offense FBI and CIA and the beba no makwa. Please, they shouldn't do this. They shouldn't do this. I mean, Obi unya to me on. That's a real few one. Obey the match. Me say, Emrawe, if they want to pass it, they should pass it. Honestly speaking, me go Facebook. Me dear way Dennis Miracles Aboagye. And I'm a page Dennis Edward Aboagye. And one I'm a it's me. And I mean so. Masama me kano. Me can radio so cross me post you on Facebook. It's me means through. I have no problem with it. I don't have any problem with it. But to tell people say answer na will be a Facebook account no. Just say what the official name we war Ghana card so. And I'll be to be a Facebook account no obi. Now Russia cry yes sir. China cry ni sa ambra no. That dey any aliases. Me more yes and FM baby you. And no penny di obi anim.
Baby you.
Oh, baby you.
All
kind of my is above the forest area. Minim they are actually up to ne, but all kind of my just above the forest area. Oba be man say nothing more, nothing much. But I'm dino no. Oba Swiss na oba eno no be anim. Inti se me pese me be Facebook account na me use baby you. Obi so wo ho obi hunim say onkrofo bi wo ho me di miracles no. Me ma me de ma me. But ma me mpeni mbrem. Obi minyi ye ya na me hu say ukọ Facebook Google na obo me din na wafa miracles anka wa ma. And I'm a gizete and I buy my official name. But it is that way because miracles and no be hiding at the frame. How many people know say frame Dennis Edward Aboagye? It is a me Facebook account me and Dennis Miracles Aboagye. And Brafo for na ban say my form mra. This am a gizete miracles no. Nipa do say kwa na frame nim say frame o say bonsu. Facebook kuni o say bonsu na ni obi o ho. So was out to na o say bonsu na oba ko be obi. It's because some people really connect with you with the obi. But semrana say what for momra. Obi so wo komra ni mu a niam ewom. It has nothing to do with cyber security no mokano. It is more about social media control. They want to gag us. They want to control us. They want to determine what we say and what we do not say. My view is say me pedo falsehood about Honorable Edwasari. Ya womra bebre Honorable Edwasari ankasa ebe taking me on. It is not the government's responsibility. Government responsibility say maye bibia. Te say na say police for to me kwache wako post bibia e be affecting national security and detention beba. Those ones are government responsibility.
What we are seeing appears to be a draft and that they want to consult on that draft. From what I have seen as a former information minister, this draft is dangerous, though it's not surprising. And let me explain why it's not surprising. It's not surprising because I think the president first announced it, that they are going to use the national security apparatus to go after people who make comments on social media that they consider, for whatever reason, whether it's under hate speech or it's under whatever, they consider it unfavorable. They're going to search for your IP addresses and then get the security apparatus to go after you. The president himself said it. So it's not surprising that his minister is now following up with a draft bill with such wild provisions in there. What is dangerous about it is that over the last set of decades, various countries have been moving away from criminalizing speech. There are other remedies for speech that may be deemed unfavorable, most of them civil, but not necessarily criminalizing it. Even the Criminal Libel and Sedition Act was repealed by the Kufuor administration. There are still remnants of laws that still seek to criminalize speech. For example, this law that is being used a lot, publication of false news, with intent of causing fear and panic, is one of those laws that actually still needs to be repealed. Instead of repealing that to advance, democratic freedoms, the government is now seeking, through this draft that it wants to consult on, to enact legislation that will now even ensure that when you put up a comment in your chat groups and they find it offensive according to their criteria, you could go to jail. And I think it's a very dangerous, encroachment into the area of free speech. The government needs to tread cautiously. I'm hopeful that when the consultations start, the government will see wisdom in backtracking and ensuring that instead of rather seeking to further criminalize speech, even the remnant laws on criminalization of speech should be repealed.
See, the new Cybersecurity Amendment Bill is not a cybersecurity reform, but then it's a control reform. And if it passes, it will give just one government agency more power over your digital life than any law in Ghana. So let us go through it step by step, starting with Section 4A, which is the new powers of the Cybersecurity Authority. Now, this section gives the authority power to investigate and prosecute cybercrime, not just regulate it. That means the same institution that writes the cybersecurity rules can also decide who breaks them, investigate the case, and prosecute the person. That's 3 powers in one body. They also get to certify and regulate emerging technologies like AI, blockchain, cloud, whatever. So if you are building tech in Ghana, they can decide whether your product is secure enough to exist. I mean, that's not security. That's just a way to centralize control. And let's go to the next section, which is Section 20B, the police powers. The bill says that the Director General or the Deputy Director General and the officers of the authority will now have the same powers as police officers. So they can arrest, they can search, they can seize your property. But unlike the police service, this new cyber police won't report directly to the IGP. They will report directly to the authority under the Ministry of Communications. That's Honorable Sam George. That's new police force operating under a regulatory agency. Now let's talk about the next section, which is the Section 31, which involves the money. Now this section funds the authority with 12% of communication service tax, 9% of corporate tax, and 50% of all fines and penalties under the Act. So in other words, the authority makes money when it fines and punishes people. Now this is a self-financing system. The more people they arrest or punish, the richer the institution becomes. I mean, that's direct incentive to overreach. Now the next section is Section 35 to 37, which is the critical information infrastructure. This section allows the minister to declare any system as critical. It could be your telecom company, it could be your bank, it could be your hospital, your startup, hosting business. Once it's declared critical, you must register it, pay annual fees, and give the authority access to your internal systems. That's for inspection and for auditing. Now, this will open door for the state to access private infrastructure across sectors. And refusal comes with a heavy penalty. And let's talk about the next section, which is Section 49. That's it. That involves licensing and cybersecurity services. No one can offer any cybersecurity service, even for free, without government license. That includes ethical hackers, IT consultants, even non-profit doing privacy work. So without accreditation from the authority, your works becomes illegal. And that's how they quietly kill independent oversight. The next section is Section 57 to 57C, which is cyber hygiene certification. Now, the authority will run a new cyber hygiene scheme, and they will set prices, approve who can offer certifications, and collect 30% of revenue from every certification done. The authority that regulates you, audits you, and also can profit from you all at once. And let's talk about the next section, which is section 59A to section 59K. That's the enforcement powers. This is the most dangerous part of the entire bill. Now, it gives the authority nearly unlimited power. And here's how these sections say in simple English. Now, they can arrest, they can prosecute anyone who violates cybersecurity standards. They can freeze your bank account, property before the court even approves it. They can compel you to hand over your information, your data during an investigation, and they can get court orders in secret to access your digital data. They can enter and inspect your premises, sometimes even without a warrant. So we have full surveillance, full policing power concentrated in one agency without clear judiciary checks. And once that exists, it won't stop cybercrime. It will be used against journalists, critics, and even political opponents. That's how digital control begins, always in the name of security. Let's talk about the next section. That's section 66, 67A, and 67B. That will criminalize speech. So this section introduces cyberbullying and false information clauses. They make it a crime to spread false or misleading information online with penalties up to 5 years in prison. But who decides what's false? The same authority that enforces the act. So if you criticize a government official and then they call it false, you are not a cyber criminal. That's a violation of our free speech. And let's talk about the next section, which is section 92. And this section allows the authority to issue binding orders to innovators, software engineers, service providers to secure emerging technology. So in simple terms, they can tell startups what they can build, how they can build it, or even stop them, right? That's direct state control by innovation under the banner of cyber safety. And the next section is 94 to 94B. They have added new offenses like unlawful access, computer forgery, and computer-related fraud. Some are valid, but the language is broad, so it can easily criminalize ethical hacking or even testing your own systems. Every major authoritarian thing in modern history starts with laws like this. So they write the laws very softly. They try to make it open, or you can submit your inputs, and then they justify it as protection. So Nigeria said that their Cybercrime Act will protect citizens, and later on we saw it jailing journalists for criticizing governors. Now Ghana's bill gives the state the same toolkit. They can arrest, prosecute, seize, and then silence you. So if one government agency can write the rules, enforce them, and then punish you, that's not cybersecurity.
Kyerɛ w'adwene ma me ɛwɔ comment section. Aha yɛ Penyah Block Media.